Mission accomplished.
Seat as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
But wait, there's more.
The conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Hold up.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
there's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
it. With Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially and what that would mean or look like.
Oprah, they're so racist. That's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be.
That conversation I'm never going to share.
Ooh, this is uncomfortable.
We'll talk when we get home.
Hello, and welcome. Welcome to our wine night. I forgot to chill it. I'm pretty sure it has to be chilled because it's a sweet wine. Oh, goodness. So we're going to give it a try. If not, I will just chill the bottle and we'll do it again next week. No, not next week because I'll be in Nashville next week. We'll still be meeting. I just won't have the wine with me. We'll do it in 2 weeks because we've got more to read. I'm going to be sad when this book is done, to be honest with you. I really do look forward to these Wednesday nights. I don't know why, but we are more than halfway through. And we're doing a lot tonight, so we're going to have to get going pretty quick. Let me take a sip of the old... Yeah, that would be better. Chilled. All right. I'm going to completely ruin it and take an ice cube out of my drink here. Oh, I am so basic. I tell you. See if that helps. Okay. Not a wine drinker. Not a wine drinker. I mean, clearly, this is the wine that I like. It's a screw top. Although somebody on one of the news programs, they were talking about some of the wineries going with screw tops. Now, I don't know why. Probably ones you don't have to age. Anyway, it's St. James Winery. Blueberry sweet wine. And it's quite nice for the non-drinker. You wine connoisseurs, stay away probably. But I love it. All right, let me say hi to who's here. Pam's crafty heart is here. Hello, good to see you. And thank you for hitting the like button. Kathy is here. Hi, Kathy, good to see you. Okay, who else did I see here? Janice, Jane. Whoops, did that work? No. Jane, Joni. Let's see, Janice, Maureen. We have, oh, good, resident Londoner. Glad to have you in the house. Okay. Let's see. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Mama Squirrel. A lot of people here. The chat was like, it said it had like 60 comments already. I'm like, oh my gosh. Nadine. Oh, everybody wants to see the big chapter. Yes, I do too. I'm very curious why this is all in one chapter. Very curious. All right, Nadine, Lynn Skinner. Hi, did I say hi yet, Lynn? If not, hello, and thank you for moderating. Let's see. I want to see if I can try to catch everybody. Before we get started, Nicole's here. Good to see you. Y'all get your butts in here. Liz is here. Everybody's here. What are you talking about? Everybody's here. Oh, gosh. Scroll, scroll, scroll. So many comments. Oh, my gosh. Wendy's front yard. Good to see you, Wendy. Okay. Trying to get to the bottom. Living an eclectic life. Hey there. Okay. I know, Kathy, you're talking like in all the other live chats. I love it. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Chat away. Y'all are like sister friends, like real sisters and real friends at this point. Hi, Kitty. Nicole, good to see you. Did I say hi yet, Nicole? I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I think I did. Okay. Oh, chapter 24 is all we're doing today because it is 33 pages long. Got to get going. Got to get going. This is much longer than we normally do. All right. It's called Tremors. What that means, I don't know. Wow. We have hair flopping like zero body. Okay. That's fine. Over 4 days in June of 2018, Meghan enjoyed the spotlight as a principal member of the royal family. Okay, over 4 days. The cameras lingered during her first appearance in Buckingham Palace's balcony after watching the Trooping the Color. Her smiles, her close friends thought, looked forced. Still aggrieved by the royals' commitment to hierarchy during the conversations before stepping onto the balcony, she disliked the automatic assumption that she was junior to Kate. The automatic assumption, it's a fact. There is a protocol and a pecking order in the royal family, Meghan. Did no one tell you this before you got in? I think she thought she was going to be queen. Okay. Queen and go nowhere and do nothing. Let's see. She disliked this assumption she was junior to Kate. She believed she should be treated as an equal. Harry sympathized. Of course he did. 3 days later, her dissatisfaction became apparent again after traveling with the Queen overnight on the royal train to Chester. Meghan emerged from the train the following morning at Runcorn looking reassured. The Queen had given her a pair of earrings during her journey. Meghan's demure smile on the platform gave the impression she had forged a bond of loyalty towards a monarch. Throughout the day, opinions changed. While Meghan did perform, the Queen's aides noticed that she remained detached. Her refusal to wear a hat reflected, they believed, her disapproval of royal life as staid and stuffy. A few suspected from their conversations that while she enjoyed the privileges, Meghan appeared reluctant to become steeped in British traditions. She had already decided to resist the obligations of total commitment to public duty. Oh, early on, she resisted the obligations of total commitment to public duty. So she already said, I'm not going to do everything you asked me to do. I work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, Meghan. Her return to London was ominous. At a leaving party, wow, that's not a term we use in America. At a leaving party in the private garden at Kensington Palace for Miguel Head Prince William's former private secretary, is that how you say it? Secretary, if you're in America. Harry and Meghan were the last to arrive. They appeared reluctant to engage with others and left soon after William's speech, despite his frequent mentions of Harry. Head had reason to be surprised. He had worked with Harry during his deployment in Afghanistan. Re-employment as a publicist for a corporation in San Francisco had asserted that his task in the palace was to retain a sense of magic and mystery for the royal family. The importance of that mantra to avoid public confrontation. He eluded Meghan. Meghan's father remained a problem. Ever since their previous conversation 3 days before the wedding, Thomas Markle's attempts to reestablish contact with his daughter had failed. There was no reply to his text messages. His telephone calls were not answered, and then her phone went dead. She had, he assumed, changed her number. For the first time, she had not sent a Father's Day card. Although Meghan would later insist that she did not ignore him, Thomas felt abandoned. Even Jason Knopf did not reply to his text messages. Gradually, Thomas Markle believed he was the victim of Meghan's blame shifting and scapegoating. Psychologists identify a familiar cycle: idealize, devalue, discard. Amid much agonizing, he blamed Doria for poisoning their relationship. After all the support he had given her over the past 40 years, he believed that Doria had betrayed him. As for Meghan, he remembered her small hand clasping his as they walked to the ice cream shop, and her excitement as he praised her school acting. Of course. Boy, he told her she was the bee's knees. He could not understand how that love had turned to hatred. Gazing at the sea, he wondered if she had any fears that her own children would treat her with such hostility. Perhaps as revenge for how she treated her father. Isolated and mocked, his bitterness grew toward those who ridiculed a hardworking, acclaimed lighting director. I wasn't going to be put away, he recalled. Unexpectedly, on the 18th of June, Thomas Markle appeared on ITV's Good Morning Britain. Furious about his portrayal as a drunk living in squalor, he had agreed after lengthy negotiations to give his first live TV interview. He would be paid about £15,000. Since the wedding, he explained to the host Piers Morgan, despite being very forgiving about the photographs, Meghan had ignored him. Okay, so we did cover the wedding. Last night I couldn't remember. I just can't remember talking about it much. They really didn't say much about it in the book. There was a lot of build up to the wedding, but not much about the wedding itself. Thought we'd cover more about the drama of her wanting William to walk her down the aisle as opposed to Prince. I remember reading about King Charles saying he would, but I just don't remember. It seems like it was a bigger deal. All right. Anyway, I'll move on. In a mournful tone, Thomas recounted his approval of Harry's request to marry Meghan so long as, quote, he promised me you'll never raise your hand again. As long as he promised me you'll never raise your hand against my daughter, end quote. And about his sorrow at missing the wedding. I was jealous. I wish I'd been there. She was beautiful. It was incredible watching her. I cried a little bit about it. The whole world was watching my daughter. I was very happy about that. The unfortunate thing for me is that I'm a footnote in one of the great moments of history, rather than Dad walking her down the aisle. His reason for giving the interview was pride. I just want people to know I'm a normal guy. I'm a retired man, and I was living a quiet little life, and then this happened. And lots of things happened around it, but more than anything, I don't want my daughter or new son-in-law hurt in any of this. I want to have a nice, normal relationship with my royal family as well now. He added, I hope I haven't offended them. I don't think I have. They know I love them, and I hope the royal family will understand my feelings as well. He hoped the interview would be seen as a peace offering. Friends of Meghan, friends in quotation mark, friends of Meghan told the media that Thomas Markle's surprise appearance was beyond disgraceful. In their version, Meghan and the members of the royal family could give interviews, but not Thomas. The following day, Meghan rode in the third carriage at Ascot after the Queen. Later, she was seen laughing with Charles and Camilla. Her fury with Thomas was concealed. She had assumed that by refusing to take his telephone calls, he would silently disappear. Meghan did not grasp the consequence of cutting herself off from her father and of spurning any notion of inviting him to London or even meeting him in Los Angeles. In Mexico, her stubbornness provoked another outburst. The interview, Thomas admitted on TV, put me in the penalty box, but he would not be silenced. If the Queen, he said, is willing to meet our arrogant and insensitive president, she has no excuse not to meet me. I'm nowhere near as bad. End quote. Trump was scheduled to meet the Queen on the 13th of July during a visit to Britain. 1 week later, after his calls continued to be blocked, Thomas admitted, I think that relationship is lost now. Speaking to the media was becoming important to him. He decided to give interviews until Meghan talked to him. I love it. He's like that gnat that you can't kill. He also retained a lawyer to extract his share of the royalties, about $50,000 from Jeff Rayner. I got screwed by Rayner, said Markle, and I'm going to find a way to screw him over before I die. I want to tear him down. If they tell me I've got terminal cancer, then I'll kill him because I've got nothing to lose. Lovely man. Good old daddy. It's much better. Well, it's a little bit cooler. Could use another cube, actually. It's still better. Okay. I could actually die soon, he told The Sun the following week. Does she want this to be the last thing we've said to each other? He went on. It is probably the longest time I have gone without speaking to her, ever. I just want to clear the air and tell her how proud I am of her. If I had one message for her, it would be, I love you. I miss you. I'm sorry for anything that went wrong. I'd like to put our differences behind us and get together. Rather than resting his case, the spurned father lashed out at the royal family for their asinine anger about the paltry payment for Rayner's photos. Half of Great Britain, he said, seems to make a fortune selling pictures of my daughter and her husband. He could have earned $100,000 and more if he wanted. He extended his anger to the ridiculous royal dress code. Meghan seemed like something out of an old movie. Why, in 2018, are we dressing like the 1930s? Why do they have to cover their knees? Boy, he just keeps going on. Why do they have to cover their knees? I cover my knees because I have ugly knees. I do not have good-looking knees. It's better for everybody. Stony silence from Meghan sparked another outburst to the British media. Quote, my daughter is very controlling. She likes to be in charge, end quote. His conclusion was credible. Quote, I think she is terrified. I see it in her eyes. I see it in her face. And I see it in her smile. I know her smile. I've seen her smile for years. I don't like the one I'm seeing now. This isn't even a staged smile. It's a pained smile. It really worried me. It really worries me. I think she's under too much pressure. There's a high price to pay to be married to that family, end quote. Oh, geez. That's the way to getting good with your daughter. Insult her in-laws publicly. the brightest lighting designer, maybe a good lighting designer. The brightest, not the brightest bulb. Okay. Meghan fumed about her impotence. Each rant from Thomas and Samantha dented her popularity. The previous day, the photographers had noted the accuracy of Thomas's observation. In a staged photo opportunity to rebuke the truth, Meghan and Kate had appeared for the first time together at Wimbledon for the ladies' final. Meghan's smile looked forced, more forced than usual. The physical comparison was unflattering to Meghan. On her own, Meghan's radiance won universal applause. But beside the taller, authoritative future queen, the Duchess appeared diminished. Neither could conceal their mutual discomfort. Insiders drew a parallel with the relations between Harry and William. Days earlier, at a celebration of the RAF's 100th anniversary. I don't know what the RAF is. I apologize. The brothers had looked uncomfortable together. Relations between the four had broken down. William and Kate refused to stay with Charles and Camilla at the Castle of May in Scotland at the same time as the Sussexes. Now, I'm not going to be able to say Sussexes by the end of this glass of wine, just so you know. And the Sussexes turned down the Queen's traditional invitation to stay at Balmoral in the summer with William and Kate. At the heart of their divergence was Meghan's unwillingness to be part of the team. There was no intimacy. She could not identify with this family's power, social, financial, or political. She was also irritated by Kate's and William's refusal to be well-meaning partners. Meghan's one-week visit to the Castle of May, beginning on the 28th of July, was used to brief the media that Charles had become attached to Meghan and admired her interest in history and furniture. Oh, goodness. Unspoken was Charles's bewilderment about the American. He had never really understood her or what she wanted. That week, his irritation about Thomas Markle's TV appearances, especially his criticism of the royal family, came to a head. Can't she just go and see him and make this stop? Charles berated Harry. His son, according to Meghan, was endlessly explaining the situation about Thomas Markle's behavior to Charles and Camilla, but the family seemed to forget the context. They fundamentally don't understand. Charles could not understand Harry's explanations because his son withheld critical details. Oh, well, that would have been helpful, Harry, if he would have provided the details. Harry did not tell his father about Thomas's fury at being ignored by his daughter and about Harry's insults while he was in the hospital. Of course, he didn't share that. Instead, Harry explained that Meghan refused to telephone Thomas Markle because she suspected that his phone was not in his possession and that his email account was compromised. Charles could not have known that both reasons were untrue. But it was also possible that the Sussexes mistakenly believed their own version as well. The inconsistencies of Meghan's excuses not only irritated Charles, but also the Queen. The monarch did not believe that Meghan could not resolve her differences with Thomas Markle. To persuade her to make an effort, she joined Charles in a conference call with Meghan and Harry. Who's she? She joined Charles with Meghan and Harry. The Queen did. The Queen. Okay. At the outset, Charles and his mother urged Meghan to fly to America for a reconciliation. Meghan rejected the Queen's suggestion. Oh, so they're getting to see another side of her. They joined the phone conversation to hear how horrible Thomas was, and then they find out that she's like, no, not going to America. Not going to see my daddy. Mm-mm. All right. Meghan rejected the Queen's suggestion. It was completely unrealistic to think I could fly discreetly to Mexico, arrive unannounced at his doorstep, as I had no means of secure communication with my father, to a location and residence I had never visited or known in a small border town, and somehow hoped to speak privately to my father without causing a frenzy of media attention and intrusion that could bring more embarrassment to the royal family. Isn't that interesting? Meghan knows royal protocol and how to keep things secretive and what to do better than the Queen and Charles together, who made this suggestion. She refused because she knows better. She's schooling the Queen, basically. Love it. Her argument avoided the truth. Although her father's telephone number was unchanged and the mobile was always in his pocket, she claimed, quote, I had no secure means of communication with my father, end quote, and added, we could not trust that my father's phone was in his possession. That did not prevent her from contacting him. Her father's telephone number was unchanged. They could meet discreetly in Los Angeles. The Queen was unaware that Meghan had never visited Rosarito. Both Charles and the Queen realized that Meghan's excuse was far-fetched. Good for them. Puzzled by her attitude, neither Charles nor the Queen had heard Thomas Markle's explanation for Meghan's stubborn refusal to meet him, namely that Doria had persuaded her daughter not to make that journey. The conference call ended with both the senior royals perplexed by Meghan's conduct. I was especially sensitive, Meghan later admitted, to this, as I had very recently married into the family and was eager to please them. She has no idea how to eagerly please. Well, she only knows one way to eagerly please. And if that's not a possibility between the sheets, she's clueless. Because pretty much telling the Queen and the King where to go, well, at that time would have been Prince. Okay. Where are we? I was especially sensitive, Meghan later admitted, to this as I... What a horrible way. This man, it's called an appositive. When you start a sentence and then you stop and you provide side information and you go back and finish a sentence. Here is a horrible example. This man loves to use these. So difficult to read, especially out loud, and especially when you've never read it before. So you don't know when the sentence is coming up that he's going to do this. Okay, so here's the sentence. I was especially sensitive, Meghan later admitted, to this as I had very recently married. Like, that's not a good place to stop and add, Meghan later admitted. Just start the sentence with Meghan later admitted and then say, I was especially sensitive to this and I had very recently married into the family and was eager to please them. I'm sorry. I'm schooling the man who is a much better speaker, writer, vocabulary, I mean, everything than I am. But that was a terrible sentence. Okay. In turn, Harry fretted that Meghan needed protection. Of course he did. He sympathized with her resentment about the palace's keen sense of deference and hierarchy. Wow, get over yourself. You love the hierarchy. Take it away. They took it away, and now they're all crying, and they're begging to get it back. While he could not understand her intolerance of English reserve, he did fear he might still lose her. They fundamentally don't understand, Meghan complained during her visit to Castlemaine. They included Camilla. With nothing in common, Camilla was apprehensive about Harry's future. Camilla epitomized the best and probably some of the worst characteristics of a practical, solid English upper middle class woman. Undereducated, expert as a horseman, a poor cook, keen to do good, lots of old friends. She was grounded and not grand. As a nonsense? Oh, as a no-nonsense, sorry, it was hyphenated in a new sentence. As a no-nonsense, self-deprecating, plain speaker with a good sense of humor who, when necessary, displayed a stiff upper lip. Camilla was most comfortable sloshing through the mud in a barber and gumboots. I'm assuming those are the boots you always see the royals wearing when they're out like shooting or with horses or dogs going for a walk. No idea what a barber is. Moving on. For the hardworking American graduate and feminist, brought up enjoying the sunshine by the Pacific, the class-ridden hunting world galloping across the English shires, invariably under laden skies, was unattractive. Whew! Sentence with many, many adjectives. The stark differences between the Cotswolds and the California and California aroused Camilla's sense that Meghan was an adventuress from California. I don't get British speak. Okay. Unlike Charles, Camilla could see through the American actress's coquettish smiles and tactile performance. During her lifelong experience among England's country set, Camilla had occasionally spotted a self-important adventuress. The word. They were the sort she might call a minx. In those circumstances, she found it hard to believe that Meghan would sacrifice her independence to serve silently as a team player. But Camilla remained tight-lipped, as did Meghan in Castlemaine. Harry had his own reasons to distrust Camilla. He still blamed her for the wrecking of his parents' marriage. Well, Charles had a part to do with that too, so they're both wrong. Frustrated that she could not communicate with her admirers on the internet, Meghan was angry that the palace officials refused to protect her image. She refused to accept that Jason Knopf and the staff were not employed to promote her as an individual, but instead placed her within the grid of the entire royal family. He was upset she wasn't promoted and held up for high esteem of this special American that's joining our family. Wow, we've been stuck with this British traditions and these royal rules for all these years. Finally, an American. Oh, wait, we had one before. Yeah, it didn't work out so well either. All right. We'll just leave the Brits to the Brits. Leave the royals to the royals. They should just marry royalty because that's what they know. Although Kate did a really good job of blending in. I guess if you're rich and British, it's also okay. All right. In particular, Meghan fumed about Knopf's refusal officially to criticize Thomas Markle. Knopf, she complained, rejected her orders to set the record straight by directly engaging with the media to ask newspaper editors not to interview Thomas on the grounds that he was being groomed and exploited. From her perspective, Meghan was isolated, vulnerable, and stifled by conventions. unwilling to accept that, unlike Hollywood, no one was counting box office receipts of the crowds that she attracted. She was waging a struggle for which she was not suited nor properly understood. Scornful of the palace's explanation that attacking the media would rebound on her, she adopted Hollywood's rule book and silently took the initiative. Gina Nelthorpe Crown. She heard from Knopf, had given an unfavorable interview to the Mail on Sunday. Mail on Sunday, again, is a program. In the proposed article, it's a newspaper. In the proposed article, Nelthorpe Crown, we'll just call her Gina. In the proposed article, Gina described Meghan as picky, not only when it comes to her clothes, but also her colleagues, instantly dismissing those who did not share her vision. Describing how the Duchess had given me a bit of a difficult time in Edinburgh, she observed, Meghan likes to move on. Yeah, she does. Discard, move on, pretend like it never happened. And when that past starts to creep up, she's offended and insulted and the victim. We're on to you, Meghan. From her perspective, okay, I read that. Meghan was invited by the newspaper to give a comment. Instead, she asked Jessica Mulroney, her close friend and stylist, to intervene personally. To please her friend, Mulroney obliged. She called Adrian Sington, the literary agent. For more than 2 hours, she harangued him. All right, Harangued him in what he politely described as a very unpleasant way. Would that be the same as harassed? I think that's what another word for harassed, possibly. Subsequently, Gina accused Mulroney of putting pressure on me to withdraw or change statements. Oh, this is so high school. After a complaint by the newspaper to the palace about Meghan's conduct, Knopf said that he would ensure this does not happen again. Not happy with Meghan. Cheers to that. Ooh. In reality, Knopf was powerless. The royal family had embraced a media junkie determined to exploit her new status to create a global image. Astutely, she found allies. Among those willing to help her was Byron E. Gordon of the Daily Telegraph. Quote, she does not want to make the mistake of rushing in and giving critics an opportunity to trip her up, end quote, wrote Gordon. Like Kate, Meghan will not shy away from duty. She has the opportunity to change the world, end quote. Yeah. Words that didn't age well. In securing Byron E. Gordon's support, Meghan had misunderstood the media. Her persuasive influence on one journalist's favorable portrayal of her was an incentive for others to highlight the negative stories. Their search for harmful snippets started after an official visit by Meghan and Harry to Dublin. In a private conversation, Meghan told an Irish politician that she supported abortion. The politician posted the conversation on social media. Meghan was instantly criticized for expressing a political opinion. During the 24-hour trip, the media delighted in reporting that she wore 4 outfits worth £28,000, mostly from Givenchy. A quick survey of her last 15 outings showed that she had worn clothes by Dior, Givenchy, Prada, and Chanel, and never the same one twice. She was unfavorably compared to Kate, whose annual expenditure on clothes was about 100,000 pounds. Oh my gosh. In 4 days, Meghan spent, of the British people's money, 28,000 pounds to wear outfits, whereas Kate would have 100,000 pounds for 365 days. And we've seen Kate wear the same outfit again. She's so relatable. Comparably, anyway. Guilt by association extended the Buckingham Palace's announcement that Princess Eugenie's marriage to Jack Brooksbank would mirror Meghan's ceremony. It would include a carriage ride around Windsor. Meghan was indirectly blamed for feeding Eugenie's hunger for publicity. And then came another blast from Mexico. I tell you, I've just about reached my limits on Meghan and that royal family, Thomas said in yet another interview at the end of July of 2018. I'm about to unload on them. Angered by Meghan's latest denial that her father had paid for her college fees, he was also infuriated by her assertion to have financed him out of her earnings from Suits. Thomas produced the bank statements to show that he was still repaying the loans for her college fees after she joined Suits. Ooh, booyah. What? She gets a job on Suits, makes that kind of money, and she's still having daddy who's living in a shack in Mexico pay for her college? She's a piece of work. It's the greediest little lovely girl I've ever met or had the pleasure to not meet. In reply, Meghan would later reproach him. You've said I never helped you financially, and you've never asked me for help, which is also untrue. You sent me an email last October that said, if I've depended too much on you for financial help, then I'm sorry, but please, could you help me more, not as a bargaining chip for my loyalty. What riles me, Thomas told a newspaper during a long conversation on the eve of Meghan's 37th birthday, is Meghan's sense of superiority. She'd be nothing without me. I made her the Duchess she is today. So good. Oh my God. They're both pieces of work in different ways. I just love it. I just love how he's just stoking the fire. Once again, his anger turned against the royal family. See, this is where he keeps getting it wrong. No, Thomas, leave the royal family alone. Quote, they have Meghan treating her father in a way that Harry's mother, Princess Diana, would have loathed. That's not what Diana stood for. He added, I don't care if Harry never speaks to me again. I'll survive. Who cares these days about a dusty old crown? Okay, maybe it's been polished, but it's an ancient institution stuck in its ways. End quote. Gosh. Samantha endorsed Thomas. If our father dies, I'm holding you responsible, she ranted at Meghan. The royals are an embarrassment for being so cold. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Act like a humanitarian. Act like a woman. I love it. To her critics on social media, Samantha retorted, Meghan does not walk on water, and she owes our father love and respect. It is morally unconscionable to ignore him, and he has made her everything that she is. End quote. And I know because I've been jealous of her since the day she was born. The battle about Thomas Markle spread across the airwaves. Sharon Osbourne, a TV chat show host, famous for confessions about her own life of violence, drugs, alcohol, and adultery, expressed her sorrow to millions of viewers for dignified Meghan's discomfort. For dignified Meghan's discomfort. That's what it says. Because she must feel so humiliated, so embarrassed by her father. Accusing Thomas Markle of being disreputable, not least after being photographed carrying 4 beer cans, she sniped. It is so obvious that you have a bad drinking problem. Get yourself clean and sober and then come back. Is this Sharon Osbourne saying this? Okay. Thomas Markle was photographed taking the beer to the guards of his compound. There were guards guarding his compound, and he went out to take them beers, and they took a picture of it, put it in the paper, and now everyone thinks he's a drunk. That's crazy. I'm worried he'll die of sadness, said Samantha. I just want Meghan to get in touch before it's too late. You don't just throw family away like a pair of shoes. Truth. For good measure, Thomas Markle damned the palace. Oh my God. She comes from a family of hot messes. No wonder she is the way she is. All right, Thomas damned the palace in the Sun as secretive Scientologists and cult-like. Lord, he ridiculed the family like a Monty Python sketch and mocked the idea of apologizing to them. Perhaps you do it with gravy and flowers on the side. To increase the pressure, Samantha headed for London. With cameras summoned, she would arrive in her wheelchair at the gates of Kensington Palace to see Meghan. Denied entry, she left a letter addressed to Duchess Meghan, urging her sister not to leave their father hung out to dry. No other member of the royal family had suffered as much embarrassment from their own family as Meghan. There was some equivalence in Meghan's contempt for Samantha and Thomas, and now Harry's for Kate and William in particular. The Cambridges, she believed, were failing to offer the recognition and generosity that she deserved. Meghan, you don't deserve anything. You just married the guy. You don't deserve anything from his family. You should be grateful for breadcrumbs. She hated the comparisons with uncomplaining Kate. How annoying. She never complains. How un-American. Effortlessly, the Cambridges appeared to be perfect. She appeared to be influenced by envy of Kate. In turn, the future queen regarded her neighbor as dismissive of other people. The queen who would be her neighbor? Meghan's manner toward her staff, Kate observed, had become self-centered, manipulative, and demanding. Oh, I thought we were talking about the queen's neighbor. I don't know why I got confused there. My bad. Okay. They were neighbors of each other. William and Kate in the big castle-y looking house. And then Meghan and Harry in like very nice. It was like 8,000 square foot ranch that used to be individual home, like apartments for staff. But then they kind of gutted it all out and made the whole thing one big house. Shortly after it was done being renovated, they left. But they did pay back for the renovations. Okay. No other member of the royal family had... Okay, we read that one. The staff complaints inflamed Meghan's growing sense of victimhood. Kate, she complained, did not have to live with the latest irritating revelation, such as the Urban Dictionary's newly published definition of being Meghan Markled. a verb for ghosting and disposing people once you have no use or benefit from them anymore. Whoa. Without regard for genuine human relationship. Sounds like Meghan Markle. Stung by the criticism, Meghan forgot an actress's cardinal rule: pose with humility, even if it's false. Despite being raised in Hollywood studios to work with others, Meghan became increasingly fragile, demanding that the palace staff view the world from her perspective. Strangely, she appeared not to care whether she was liked. Empowered by her achievements, her standing was paramount. In self-defense, she demanded retaliation against her critics. She urged Harry to become more combative. In turn, he urged Knopf to protect his wife. Eager to oblige the Sussexes, Knopf accepted Meghan's version that in the 3 months before her marriage, her difficult father had rejected a loving daughter's offer for help. He also assumed that the father's heart illness was suspicious, and the hiatus, which occurred in the days before the wedding, was entirely Thomas's fault. Knopf did not notice that whatever Meghan believed became a fact. In her mind, she decided what she believed was true. And there was no possibility of a contradiction. Contradiction in her truth. Boy, this is not, these have to be narcissistic traits, because, boy, this sounds just like Cody Brown too, doesn't it? Believe in your head that it's true. And then you can continue to be the victim because you're incensed by how everyone else is reacting. Contradiction of her truth was persecution. As she would say, quote, when you really know who you are and you know what your belief system is and you live by the truth, I think you can start to peel away the layers of where the fear comes in. What the fuck does that mean? Talk about a word salad. Layers of where the fear comes in. What fear? Moving on. Meghan's attitude towards truth was common among Hollywood celebrities. In their new religion, the concept of a universal truth was false. As she told an audience, life is about storytelling, about the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we're told, and what we buy into. End quote. Blah, 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 blah. Wah, 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 wah. Very Charlie Brown here. She sincerely believed that everyone had the right to create their own truth about the world. Well, that would be a very successful, well-oiled machine of a world, wouldn't it, if everybody just did what they wanted? Well, it's my truth. I can do it. Seeking reassurance from fellow Californians, she flew in August with Harry in her host's private jet to stay with George and Amal Clooney on Lake Como. Amid extraordinary luxury, she discussed coping with a medieval monarchy. Oh, Lord. She is royalty, and she is sticking her nose up at it. Medieval monarchy. You poor baby. Castles and servants, ladies in waiting. How horrible. Poor thing. Before leaving for Italy, she had considered how to appeal to her father to stop criticizing her in the media. How about go visit Daddy and talk to him, Meghan? It's not difficult. She's an idiot. Even the Queen and Prince Charles both said, go see him. Nope, she knows better. But yet, she can't figure out how to get him to stop criticizing her in the media. Instead of engaging in a conversation to rebuild their relationship, she would later say that 2 senior members of the royal family advised her to write rather than telephone. The 2 senior members were the Queen and Charles. at Castle May both had urged her to meet her father in America. Isn't that great? So she said, oh, rather than telephone him, the senior royals told me I should just write him. No, Meghan, you are correct. They told you not to telephone him. They also never told you to write him. They said, get on a frickin' plane and go see daddy and work it out. Such a liar. In drafting her letter on her iPhone to Thomas, Meghan blamed his cooperation with the media for destroying their relationship. It's all daddy's fault. He's horrible, this man. I mean, he does fight back, but I mean, everything's retaliation. He hasn't initiated anything. It's all retaliation for her ignoring him and dumping him and telling him to shut up and still taking his money. Summarizing the context, her letter accused her father of breaking her heart, manufacturing pain, being paranoid, being ridiculed, fabricating stories of attacking Prince Harry, and constantly lying. She did not suggest reconciliation. It's just a letter of blame. I'm sure that would go over really well. That's going to keep him away from the media. On the contrary, she later revealed, it was to make him stop his actions. She's clueless about interpersonal communication and relationships. She ended the letter, quote, I ask for nothing other than peace, and I wish the same for you. Wait, let me tell you all the ways you're horrible. I wish you peace. This is not going to go over well with him, I can tell you that now. Initially, she would publicly insist that she alone drafted her letter. Later, she admitted that she lied. Okay. Later, she admitted that her signed declaration was incomplete. She had asked Jason Knopf to comment on her drafts. Her initial explanation for asking Knopf was to follow protocol. Then she changed her reason. Oh, another lie. She had relied on Knopf, she admitted, to provide feedback and just general ideas. Some would later argue that by relying on Knopf, she anticipated or intended that the letter would be made public. She would deny that interpretation. Knopf was in Tonga, preparing for the Sussex's official trip to Australia. Despite suffering from profound jet lag, he replied encouragingly, quote, the draft letter is very strong. Enough emotion to be authentic, but all in resigned sadness rather than anger. Also, it is factually focused in a way that does not read like a legal filing. That is not easy to do, he added. Also, there are a few tweaks to the order of events as you've set them out that could be a bit stronger. I think it's slightly even worse than you remember. Before telephoning her to want to discuss the letter with Samantha Cohen, this was all before discussing the letter with his supervisor, Samantha Cohen. In a telling directive, Meghan replied that she would prefer it if Cohen were not involved. Their detailed conversation about the letter adopted Meghan's version of events. Knopf suggested that her letter reflected her justified suspicion about Thomas Markle's excuses for failing to fly to London for the wedding. The only thing I think it is essential to address in some way is the heart attack, he wrote. That is his best opening for criticism and sympathy. The truth is, you tried desperately to find out about the medical treatment, he said, he was receiving, and he stopped communicating with you. You begged him to accept help, to drive him to the hospital, And instead of speaking to you to arrange this, he stopped answering his phone and he spoke only to TMZ. Grateful for Knopf's help, Meghan sent back her redrafted letter for his approval on the 22nd of August, 2018, with a pertinent comment. Her letter was carefully written so that it does not open the door for a conversation with my father. Well, God forbid. I'm going to write this, but I want to make sure I write it in a way that we never have to have a conversation ever again. Please don't make it seem like I'm opening the door to a conversation or relationship, God forbid. Her letter, she admitted, had been deliberately written not to put him in a good light. Of course. The catalyst for doing this, she texted Knopf, is seeing how much pain this is causing H. She added that by writing, I protect my husband from this constant berating, and while unlikely, perhaps will give my father a moment of pause. She added, obviously, everything I have drafted is with the understanding that it could be leaked, so I have been meticulous in my word choice. But please let me know if anything stands out for you as a liability. With genuine sympathy, Knopf replied, it's such a strong and clear letter with just the right amount of emotion. Hope you're okay after writing it. Bonded by, I wonder what he meant by that. Bonded by the joint enterprise, Meghan replied, honestly, Jason, I feel fantastic, cathartic, and real, and honest, and factual. And if he leaks it, then that's on his own conscience. But at least the world will know the truth. Boy, she really wants this letter leaked. She wants it leaked so bad. She keeps implying. So I just thought maybe somebody out there is maybe going to leak this letter. And if somebody were to do that, then I guess then the world would know the truth. Okay. And if he leaks it, then that's on his conscience. But at least the world will know the truth. Words I could never voice publicly. She added, trust me, toiled over every detail of this letter, which could be manipulated. Even her opening words were manipulation, she admitted. She had started with Daddy. She had told Knopf to pull at the heartstrings of the public if her father were to leak it. At least the world will know the truth. Quote, Daddy, it is with a heavy heart that I write this. She started her 5-page handwritten letter. Not understanding why you have chosen to take this path, turning a blind eye to the pain you are causing. You know, that heart attack was so inconvenient. I was getting married. I'm sorry, she didn't say that, I did. Your actions have broken my heart into a million pieces, not simply because you have manufactured such unnecessary and unwarranted pain, but by making the choice to not tell the truth as you are puppeteered into this. Something I will never understand. She continued, if you love me, as you tell the press you do, please stop. Please allow us to live our lives in peace. Please stop lying. Please stop creating so much pain. Please stop exploiting my relationship with my husband. In other paragraphs, she condemned him for giving interviews, for fabricating stories, and for criticizing Harry. To hear about the attacks you've made at Harry in the press, who is nothing but patient, kind, and understanding with you, is perhaps the most painful of all. Her comment about the Rayner photographs was heartfelt. I believed you, trusted you, and told you I loved you. The next morning, the CCTV footage came out. She told of her hurt from Samantha's attacks. Quote, "You fixated and clicked on the lies that were written about me, especially those manufactured by your other daughter, who I barely know. You watched me silently suffer at the hand of her vicious lies. I crumbled inside." End quote. Her concluding pages appeared destined for an audience beyond her father. Quote, "I have only ever loved, protected, and defended you, offering whatever financial support I could, worrying about your health, and always asking how I could help. So the week of the wedding, to hear about you having a heart attack through a tabloid was horrifying. I called and texted. I begged you to accept help. We sent someone to your home. And instead of speaking to me to accept this or any help, you stopped answering your phone and chose to only speak to tabloids." End quote. Her next paragraph was calculated to rile up Thomas Markle. Oh, here we go. Quote, "You haven't reached out to me since the week of the wedding. And while you claim you have no way of contacting me, my phone number has remained the same. This you know. This you know. No texts, no missed calls, no outreach from you. Just more global interviews you're being paid to do and say harmful and hurtful things that are untrue." Her conclusion was damning. "For some reason, you choose to contribute fabricating these stories, manufacturing these fictitious narratives, and entrenching yourself deeper into this web that you've spun. The only thing that helps me sleep at night is the faith and knowing that a lie can't live forever." End quote. Oh, that's rich. What if she would ever take her own advice? Meghan, a lie can't live forever. To ensure the letter arrived, she forwarded it to her Los Angeles business manager, Andrew Mayer, for delivery in Rosarito by FedEx. Thomas Markle had never received a similarly long handwritten letter from his daughter. As he settled down to read it, what? Oh, he had never, in the past, he had never received anything like this. Okay. As he settled down to read it, he hoped it was an olive branch, something that would be a pathway to reconciliation. By the end, he was hurt by the absence of any love or inquiry, even about his health. Quote, "I was so devastated, I could not show it to anyone." End quote. Meghan was right in her summary to Knopf. Her letter did not open the door for a conversation. She wins. Her lawyers would call the letter a heartfelt plea to stop speaking to the press. Thomas put the letter in a drawer and told no one except Doria about its existence. "I don't know why," he wrote to Doria. "Meghan is being so hateful and sending me such hateful letters. Yes, I have made a couple of stupid mistakes, but I have apologized for those mistakes 100 times or more. I gave Meghan a good life and the best education I could. I love her very much and I always will." He received no sympathy from his ex-wife, Doria. She could care less. She was like, "I'm out here in London living high off the hog with my daughter." During Doria's visit to London in September, she was taken by Meghan and Harry to the Grenfell Mosque to launch Together, Our Community Cookbook, a volume of women's recipes. To promote Meghan's philanthropy, Kensington Palace released a promotional film in which Meghan praised London as the city that can have so much diversity. Invited journalists witnessed Doria introduce herself. "Hi, I'm Meghan's mom." The sincere event, nevertheless, attracted negativity in the media as a tiny bit self-serving. because Meghan had used the women to burnish her own caring credentials. Her good work was overshadowed by the family row. Her good work was overshadowed by the family row. Thomas Markle's appearances made Meghan an easy target for media lampoons. After breaking protocol by closing her own car door, one critic wrote, "It is truly an inspiration. She humbles me. She makes me want to be a better person when it comes to exiting vehicles." He actually wrote that. Another hailed Meghan for, quote, having struck a greater blow for womankind, unquote. Meghan, it seemed, could do little right. Later that week, she was ridiculed for playing netball with children, wearing a 1,600-pound Oscar de la Renta top, just the top, and 6-inch stilettos. I don't know what netball is, but I'm guessing stilettos are not something that you would wear. 6-inch stilettos. For helping her friend Misha Nunu advertise a Saturday skirt as recently worn by Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and her flight on a private jet with Harry to Amsterdam to publicize the opening of the new Soho house. Aren't they like the biggest environmentalists and they're all about global warming? Why are they flying private everywhere? Just pick a different cause. Don't fly private. It's like it's like a million times a regular airplane in terms of air pollution. And I just okay. You can fly private if you want, whatever. You're the king, you're the queen, but just stop talking about what everybody else has to do to help the earth and prevent global warming. I'm sorry, we're not getting political here. It's just the hypocrisy is crazy. The media constantly prickled Meghan's self-esteem. Matters came to a head during an argument between Harry and William. I speak mostly to the king, actually. King is the one that is on that high horse the most. I don't know that they are taking up that mantle. Well, I'm sure Meghan is, except for when she wants to fly private. Also, reduce, reuse, recycle. Spending all that money to buy all those clothes and only wear them once. Waste. It's not environmentally conscious. At the end of September, when the Sussexes' office was finalizing preparations for their first official visit, a 16-day tour of Australia and New Zealand, Harry suggested to William that Kate should be friendlier to his wife. Members of their family, said Harry, were not showing her sufficient support, respect, and friendship. Meghan, Harry believed, should be just as appreciated as their mother. William's reply was not sympathetic. Oh, really? Do tell. Beyond the palaces, few were aware of the split between the brothers. The solution, Harry and Meghan decided, was to establish a separate office from the Cambridges. In an acrimonious meeting in Kensington Palace's garden between the brothers, William could no longer hold back. Meghan's behavior, he told Harry, was unacceptable. She had never intended to give up her career and become a loyal member of the royal family. Her workload is light. In the 5 months since the wedding, she has undertaken 26 engagements. An Ascot, a polo match, weddings, Wimbledon, and visits to the theater, including the musical Hamilton. Boy, she picked some good ones, didn't she? Her proper royal duties were a day's visit to Sussex, a service in Westminster Abbey, a charity board meeting, and a trip to Ireland. Meghan showed no interest in participating in the semi-anonymous, low-key visits to charities like those undertaken by Princess Anne, Philip, and other members of the royal family. The Grenfell cookbook was a gesture, but not a landmark. That record, combined with her wish to be outspoken, William told Harry, has aroused suspicions among their staff. Did Meghan want to return to America? He wondered. If that happened, he believed, the monarchy could be embarrassed. As their conversation became heated, William mentioned staff complaints about being bullied by Meghan. Harry was outraged. But the accusations, whether justified or not, were firmly in the public domain. Katrina McKeever, a member of Kate's communication team, had recently resigned. Kate believed that her departure had been provoked by Meghan's criticism of her performance in the run-up to the wedding. Meghan denied that she had been critical. "It's not my job to coddle people," Meghan allegedly said. Oh, she is a gem. In Meghan's defense, Omid Scobie, her mouthpiece, insisted that McIver left on good terms and was sent a huge bunch of flowers. That was disputed by insiders. McKeever's grievances had been echoed by others to Jason Knopf. Melissa Tubity, another personal assistant, had also resigned. Tubity was allegedly traumatized by Meghan's unreasonable behavior when she could not meet her unattainable, precise demands. Her departure was blamed on an outburst from Meghan, angry, and embroidered blankets for guests at a shooting weekend were not the right shade of red. Get it together, people. Re-embroider it in the right shade of red. She's a monster. The Sussexes were said not to be disappointed by Tubity's departure, but disagreed about the reasons. A third member of staff had complained to Knopf of feeling undetermined. Not a word I would use right there, but okay. Even Samantha Cohen, Knopf knew, felt stress. As the complaints accumulated, Knopf compiled a file. One departing staffer, Knopf noted, how many? I would love to have a body count. How many just up and left? Especially because it's not that easy to get a job working for the royal family. It's like an honor and a privilege, and they don't pay that much. You do it for the because it's like a dream job. One departing staffer, Knopf noted, said that her encounters with Meghan made her feel sick. Others complained, quote, "I can't stop shaking," end quote. Quote, "I feel terrified." And there were a lot of broken people. Young women were broken by Harry and Meghan's behavior, end quote. Woo! I mean, if just one of these was said about me, I would just be so devastated. But if there were two, I would be doing such a gut check. I would be like on my hands and knees, praying to God, in therapy, talking it out with people, repenting and apologizing to the people I offended. And it is just like they are just dropping one after another. And Meghan's like, it's not my place to coddle these people if they can't deal. Who does she think she is? She is a nobody. She's an absolute nobody. Oh, who married royalty. Knopf spoke to Harry. One member of staff, Knopf reported, was said to be completely destroyed. Meghan, he explained, appeared to assume that her title automatically allowed her to forget her manners. Those who refused to be Psychofanatic. It begins with an S. SYCO. Okay, anyway, were deemed to be unacceptable. Okay, those who refuse to be something. SYCOPHANTIC. No, I never saw the word before in my life. Were deemed to be unacceptable. Whatever that is, they're unacceptable. Write it in the chat. Somebody Google it. I'll spell it again. SYCOPHANTIC. Yes. I'd be embarrassed too. They call themselves, yes, I did hear that, Maureen, the Sussex Survivors Club. Psychophants, that's how it's pronounced, psychophants, psychofanatic, psychophantic, psycho with an S. They were deemed to be unacceptable. Okay, I'm going to keep my eye on, see if what exactly it means. Followers? It means followers? Oh, those who refuse to be followers were deemed to be unacceptable. Why did he just write followers? I mean, the guy is highly intelligent. I mean, if he uses these words in everyday conversation, it's fine. If he doesn't, I'm annoyed by him. To keep the peace, Harry apologized, and according to Knopf, pleaded that the complaints should not be officially processed. In return, Harry said he would urge Meghan to show greater understanding. Knopf agreed, but the damage was done. Meghan had convinced Harry that William's staff were smearing her. Whispers about the tiara, that Kate had cried, her own demand for an aerosol in St. George's Chapel. I don't remember that. She wanted an aerosol. An aerosol of what? And now, aerosol. She wanted an aroma in there. That's what she wanted. Okay. And now the staff's outrageous complaints about her behavior were, she said, invented to undermine her. It's all, yeah. They're all out to get her and they all made it up. None of it's really true. Unbelievable. No one wanted to give her credit for the benefits that she had brought to this monarchy. Honestly, not least that the wedding generated an estimated $1 billion for tourism. Can I get a 5% cut, please? The moment had arrived. The couple agreed to break from the Cambridges. They needed their own court, their own staff, their own agenda. Harry's support of Meghan persuaded Knopf, on the eve of Harry and Meghan's departure for Australia, to compose a memorandum addressed to Simon Case, William's private secretary. Knopf wrote, "I am very concerned that the Duchess was able to bully 2 PAs out of the household in the past year." According to her staff, he continued, Meghan was vindictive. Quote, "The Duchess seems intent on always having somebody in her sights." End quote. The treatment of one person, he wrote, was totally unacceptable. And her bullying of another seemed to be an attempt to undermine her confidence. Well, that's what bullying does. You know, you try to push somebody else down so that you raise yourself up. All of these are signs of huge insecurities. Meghan, it was said, played mind games with her staff. On one occasion, she had encouraged a staff member in a meeting to undertake a task. But at the next meeting, she ignored that person, asked another to do the same work. Quote, "We have had report after report from people who have witnessed unacceptable behavior," wrote Knopf about what was now called the Sussex Survivors Club. There we go, Maureen. Maureen knows. She's there. Bullying was subsequently defined by Jenny Afia, Meghan's solicitor, as improperly using power repeatedly and deliberately to hurt someone, physically or emotionally. Good. That's a good definition. That's exactly what it is. Unsurprisingly, Afia said, "It doesn't match my experience of her at all." The lawyer added a contradiction, quote, "That story is absolutely untrue, that she is a bully. That said, she wouldn't want to negate anyone's personal experiences." End quote. This is so untrue. That being said, we're recognizing everyone has a point of view. This is a way of backpedaling, just in case this comes back to bite me. Once again, Harry asked Knopf not to pursue the complaints. Since Harry and Meghan were about to leave for Australia, Knopf did not send his memorandum to case. The alleged victims would be annoyed that their superiors had protected Meghan. Yeah. Harry's lawyers would later deny that Harry had discussed the issue with Knopf or had interfered. On Friday, the 12th of October, at Eugenie's wedding reception, Meghan told everyone she was pregnant. Oh, yeah, we read this before. The best time to do it. I'll announce it at somebody else's wedding. Whose thunder can I steal? I want it to be Kate's, but she's got nothing going on, so I guess Eugenie it is. Many wondered why Meghan chose to reveal her news on the bride's big day. 2 days later, the Sussexes flew to Sydney. Over 16 days, they would fly 14 times to 76 engagements. The full itinerary was normal for royal tours. From the outset, the reception for the Sussexes in Australia was ecstatic. Large crowds cheered the couple, delighted by Meghan's special news. The Commonwealth, everyone agreed, would be enhanced by the birth of the royal family's first mixed-race child in the contemporary era. Harry and Meghan would be at the forefront of modernizing the monarchy. In her accomplished manner, Meghan posed. Her smiles exuded a special glamour. Throughout those first days, the tour was perfect. Their visit on the second day to the family, 500 miles east of Sydney, bringing a banana cake baked by Meghan the previous night, aroused euphoria. She's amazing. She makes banana bread. Banana cake, I take it back. Probably the same thing. We call it bread in America because, any excuse for us to eat fat. It's bread. It's good for you. I mean, coffee cake. It's supposed to go with coffee. Have it in the morning. It's cake, but we eat it for breakfast. All right. It's all right. The French have all kinds of pastries, so there you go. In parallel, Harry scored another triumph. He opened the Invictus Games and scaled up Sydney's Harbour Bridge to replace an Australian flag with the flag of the Invictus. Well, I don't know if they'd appreciate that. I wouldn't want somebody to scale up a tower in Washington, D.C. and remove the American flag to put up a private charity flag that they have. I don't know. Anyway, he thought it was a great idea. The couple were loudly praised for arranging free flights from Britain for participants of the games and members of charities, and warmly welcomed them at receptions. Their daily success, recorded by glowing photos, sent Australia's Republicans into retreat. The mood in the Sussexes' Sydney headquarters was, by contrast, miserable. Although, I just have to make a comment. It is amazing to me that the Cambridges and the Sussexes had to share the same staff for as long as they did. I mean, Kate had to have just been so pissed that, it takes a while to train staff, that they're dropping like flies because of Meghan. Be interesting after they get their own staffs who leaves, who stays. Or does she even stay long enough to find out? All right. Although the couple had arrived with 4 staff, Samantha Cohen, Amy Prickle, Heather Wong, and Marnie Gaffney, Meghan had decided that she needed to be surrounded by people she trusted. At her request, Jessica and Ben Mulroney had flown in from Canada to provide round-the-clock support. She's such a child. Oh my gosh, she's a royal being treated like a queen and all this press and publicity. And she's just shaking hands and kissing babies, walking around and being praised and honored and cheered. And she had 4 staff there to serve her. She needed her friend Jessica and her friend Jessica's husband to come too. Moral support to get through it. Oh, God. Mulroney doubled as Meghan's stylist. Oh, that's how we justified it. As she worked through her show-stopping wardrobe. Her show-stopping wardrobe is always wrinkled, by the way. Can I just say, maybe don't go with 100% cotton. Okay. Woo! My tongue is, I gotta get to the dentist. I have a chipped tooth and it's really rough. And so my tongue is really raw from like rubbing against it today, which I don't want to do, but like you just find your tongue just automatically just goes there. Now the wine is starting to sting it. So I'm not going to have a second glass. Okay. Boosted by the Mulroneys, Meghan was allegedly abrasive towards her 4 female staff and even towards the local British diplomats. Gets better and better. According to one report, Meghan allegedly threw a cup of tea into the air. Her anger was partly fueled by Harry. Every night, he trawled social media, searching for snide comments on the internet. Every morning, he and Meghan turned on their phones to surf the internet. Thin-skinned, they were inflamed by the slightest criticism. They are not cut out for this. How could Harry be born into this and be such a doofus? Then both bombarded their staff with demands for retribution and removal of the criticism. Amid the turmoil, Harry read that once again, the Markle family battle had resurfaced. I don't know why it brings me joy. The American media revealed that Thomas Markle had first heard about the prospective birth of a grandchild on the internet. Other scurrilous stories were dredged up. Radar Online quoted Tom Jr., alleging that his father was absent during his first marriage because of alcohol and drug binges. Oh, so Tom turned on his dad now? That's great. While the National Enquirer accused Thomas Markle of snorting cocaine during a visit to the Playboy Club in Manila. Markle denied all the allegations and accusations. Harry blamed British newspapers for those reports from America. But the only jibe he could attach to the accompanying British journalist was a report that one of Meghan's outfits cost £19,960. That's the only one he could refute. Is that what he's trying to say? As a sign of Meghan's intentions, she also wore a Serena Williams brand jacket. Soon afterwards, it was promoted on Instagram at Duchess Meghan in our Boss Blazer, a collection fit for royalty. Once again, Meghan was irate. Knopf and his staff were blamed for not suppressing. Hollywood style. All right. For not suppressing Hollywood style all those embarrassing media reports. Her mistake, she would lament, was believing them when they said I would be protected. It's the only thing I did wrong was to have a kind heart and trust. It's a problem of mine. I love and I trust, and it hurt me. That's where I went wrong in all of this, yeah. So I do take responsibility. Unsurprisingly, Meghan's fury influenced Harry's attitude towards the small British media contingent accompanying the couple. Thank you for coming, although you weren't actually invited, he sniped. He also brusquely snapped unprovoked abuse at the TV reporter. The altercation bewildered the media. Beyond the Sussex's entourage, no one was aware of the turbulent background in Kensington Palace at the Sussex's headquarters in Sydney. In that maelstrom, Harry inflamed the emotions by repeatedly telling his wife how closely she resembled Diana. Australia's huge welcome to them was comparable to Diana's tour of Australia with Charles and baby William in 1983. Tens of thousands had flocked every day to glimpse the princess. Australian Republicans and even the Prime Minister credited Diana for sabotaging their campaign to remove the Queen as head of state. Okay. So this is the second time they mentioned Republicans. So the Republicans don't want the monarchy. Is that what I'm to gather here? Let us know. Let us know, Maureen. In hindsight, the tour became particularly important because the media concealed the evidence that the short marriage was already troubled. Their relationship irrevocably broke down after Harry's birth the following year. The more Harry drew parallels with his mother, the more Meghan became convinced of her importance to the monarchy. Boy, they live in their own little bubble of delusion. The only clue to their preoccupation was Meghan's comment about a pair of jewel-encrusted earrings that she was wearing from Diana's collection. It's so important to me to know that she's a part of this with us. Okay, she's not. You're wearing her earrings. Anyway, Harry, who was merely 12 years old at the time of Diana's death, could not fully understand his mother, her work, abilities, priorities, and historic significance. She was both a traditionalist and an iconoclast, a mischievous revolutionary, and a selfless loyalist to the monarchy. He did not appreciate that his mother did not collect a court of followers. She compartmentalized her friends from the courtiers. Sycophants and celebrities were summoned only if they served her purpose. Followers. We learned a new word today, everybody. Sycophant. It's a follower. Among those chosen were journalists Andrew Morton and BBC's Panorama's Martin Bashir. Dirk. Her interviews with both, she knew, were dynamite, but directed against Charles and Camilla, never against the Queen. Individual royals, Diana knew, must conform, or the institution would lose its legitimacy. Yeah, water it down, and then everyone's going to say, we don't need this anymore. So let it be what it is. Diana's strength was the public's recognition of her vulnerability. As eyewitnesses to tragedy, both in her life and death, the public equated their own weaknesses to her experiences of betrayal, fear, and grief, and even to their personal suffering after the death. The Sussexes had convinced themselves that their Australian success blessed them with Diana's magic. Never having studied British history, politics, or shown interest in biographies, Meghan could not understand that Diana had won the public's affection after years of work. Neither she nor Harry could grasp that emulating Diana required time to weave a narrative and create a brand from which influence would flow. Unlike Meghan, Diana had never needed to seek money or fame. Both had just come naturally. In her misunderstanding and encouraged by Harry, Meghan conjured a fantasy that she could provide the leadership the monarchy required. Her activism would enhance the brand. To her staff, she gave the impression that she believed she personified the monarchy's importance. Meghan's activism could partly be justified by Charles's example. Over the previous 40 years, the prince had controversially sought to influence key decisions in Britain, in architecture, in medicine, the environment, GM crops, the army, fox hunting, and much more. British culture and history had been altered by his intervention. He had also created a series of charities, notably the Prince's Trust, benefiting thousands of young people's lives. Okay, well, that's a good thing. Charles's impact was visible. Meghan wanted to do the same, just by addressing audiences in front of cameras about her causes. Naturally, her American agents and lawyers were encouraging. For years, they had struggled to land parts for this, for her. Sorry. They struggled to land parts for her. Now they believed that she could earn millions from her activism. Of course, she wouldn't. Nothing like using activism to make money for yourself, right? It's disgusting. That is what like 90% of Hollywood celebrities who are activists do as well. Of course, she would need an American base and a foundation to deposit the proceeds. There was even, she was told, an American billionaires who might provide the startup sponsorship. What is that? Jamie Kermalima, whatever her name is. I bet. Who else is a billionaires? Her advisors neither understood that their strategy was incompatible with the monarchy, nor did they care. In their uncluttered scenario, Meghan would earn millions and they would reap commission. On the 23rd of October, 1 week into the tour, the die was cast. Harry and Meghan had convinced themselves that William was jealous of their success in Australia. How would they know they're in frickin' Australia? Oh my goodness, these two just fuel each other in delusions. The time was right for change. They needed to break out of Kensington Palace's claustrophobic fishbowl. Harry proposed that the palace should rewrite the rule book. Rather than Meghan being a dutiful member of the supporting cast, she should star as campaigner, independent of the Cambridges and even the Queen. The Queen. Old fuddy-duddy. Meghan watched Harry seek to finalize their agreement with London to create a separate court and administration. In that fundamental change, Harry and Meghan would no longer work for the Royal Foundation, but operate a separate charity, Sussex Royal. Both were pledging to promote social well-being, to make the world a better place. Nothing is more naive than saying, I'd like to do, it's exactly what you say, like when you're in kindergarten. What do you want to do in life? I want to make the world a better place. You graduate from preschool. Good job. And yes, you will. You go. It's like they're so clueless. We're going to create a charity that makes the world a better place. Also, my bank account's going to be in a much better situation. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Jessica Mulrooney was an eyewitness as Meghan balanced the stress of the tour. The news from London about the staff's complaints and the discussions about her business advisor, Andrew Meyer, about the reestablishing her presence in Los Angeles. That day, Meyer registered 2 foundations, the archiefoundation.com and archiefoundation.org. Kind of sounds like the same foundation. 5 days later, he registered Archie Foundation on Instagram. Archie is an ancient Greek term meaning beginning or origin. Archon is the Greek for leader. They need another name. Her Los Angeles advisors, misunderstanding that as Harry's wife, Meghan was not seeking approval on a stage, but seeking respect, encouraged her to behave like a celebrity actress rather than a royal. Meghan's talent was to conceal the dramas. At the end of the Invictus Games, she made a compassionate speech praising the competitors for stealing the show and her heart. Using her theatrical skill, her references to humanity and motherhood touched even the veteran royal photographer Arthur Edwards. Quote, "I have been smitten with Meghan," he wrote. "She was absolutely brilliant." The mood slightly changed after the couple arrived in Fiji. "She's such a rough life. God, I can't believe she's going to go to Fiji." The mood slightly changed after the couple arrived in Fiji. By any reckoning, the brief stop on their way to New Zealand, again, tough life, should have been uneventful. Just as in Australia, Meghan had requested to speak to groups of women and students. Unlike previous meetings, her address at the University of the South Pacific was reported. To her audience, her personally written speech was unexceptional. "I am also fully aware of the changes of being able to afford this level of schooling for many people around the world, myself included. It was with scholarships, financial aid programs, and work study from my earnings and from my job on campus that went directly towards my tuition that I was able to attend university. And without question, it was worth all the effort." Lies! Daddy paid. In Rosarito, Thomas Markle exploded. Quote, "I'm sorry, but that is completely untrue," he told the media. "I paid every penny of her tuition, and I have the bank statements to prove it. I told Meg I would pay for her education, and I did. It's what any father would do. I paid for her trips to Spain and to England. I paid for her internship in Argentina." He had continued, he said, to also pay off the loans, even after Meghan was earning a good income from suits. There's some redundancy in this book, isn't there? He was furious that she claimed to have sent him money. Quote, "I've never taken a penny from Meghan," he mistakenly retorted. In fact, Meghan had given him at least $20,000. All right. Did you forget, Thomas? 20 grand? All right. How do you forget that? I don't know. Unaware of her father's latest outburst, Meghan, wearing a 1,494-pound figure printed silk dress, headed to a bustling Fijian street market for a 15-minute stop. About 1,000 people, mostly women traders, organized in markets for change, were waiting. Within minutes, Meghan was unhappy. Shocker. Many of the locals were wearing T-shirts emblazoned with the slogan UN Women. She had been brought to a project sponsored by her old organization, unforgiving that Elizabeth had refused to promote her to be an ambassador. Meghan berated Amy Perkle for arranging this visit. Perkle retreated to the official car, where she was later seen, according to the Daily Mail's Rebecca English, with tears running down her face. Our eyes met and she lowered hers, humiliation etched on her features. Another one down. Meghan knows how to get rid of them. 8 minutes after arriving, Meghan declared she was leaving. Meghan's spokesman explained that in the humidity, the unexpectedly large crowds were oppressive and they threatened Meghan's security. Hundreds of women expressed their disappointment. By the time the entourage returned to their hotel, the female Metropolitan Police protection officer had decided to also resign on her return to Britain. You can't make this up. How many people? Meghan had to have been horrible. Okay. The staff's unhappiness was transmitted to Jason Knopf in London. Amid talk of humiliated officials weeping in a febrile atmosphere, Knopf finally sent the complaint to Simon Case, William's private secretary. In summary, Case read that Meghan had bullied 2 assistants and shattered the confidence of a third, prompting all 3 to leave Kensington Palace. The private secretary forwarded the memo to Samantha Cuthbert or somebody, the head of human resources at Clarence House. After reading it, she appeared to have done nothing formal. Later, she worked for Elizabeth Murdoch. 2 years later, the Sussex's lawyers denied all the allegations and claimed that the staff resigned amid allegations of their own misconduct. Harry's relations with Knopf were fractured. Showing a hint of the furore, Meghan smiled broadly during her entrance to her first state dinner at Fiji's Grand Pacific Hotel. She's feeling better. Shimmering in a light blue ginkgo cape dress, everyone was struck by her glittering chopard diamond pendant earrings. Asked about the provenance of the amazing jewels, her spokesman said they had been borrowed without stating from whom. The spokesman avoided giving the full explanation. They were a wedding present from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. Meghan had ignored her staff's warnings that wearing the jewels would be controversial. 3 weeks later, the prince had approved the murder in Istanbul of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. What a guy. Meghan should have been shocked by the murder. Ever since meeting Luhain al-Haflal, a Saudi activist, at the One Young World Humanitarian Summit in Ottawa in October of 2016, she'd known about the regime's cruelty. In her speech at the conference, Meghan acknowledged Luhain's protests against human rights violations and gender equality issues, discrimination, and injustice in Saudi Arabia. Since that conference, Luhain had been jailed, tortured, and threatened with rape and death. Despite that link, Meghan would wear the earrings again on the 14th of November, 2018 for Charles's 70th birthday party at Buckingham Palace. I was going to say, that's Charles's birthday. The reason I know that is because it's also my birthday. Prince Charles and I share the November 14th birthday. Meghan later claimed to have been unaware at the time of the global outrage about the prominent media reports the prince had ordered the murder. Her lawyers denied to the Times that she had misled anyone about the provenance of the earrings. provenance. I was going to say providence doesn't even make sense. But of course, provenance, I don't even know what it means, but the origin of the earrings. On the 1st of November, Harry and Meghan returned to London, convinced that they were royal rock stars, empowered to change the royal family. It was this time, said Harry excitedly, that the family got to see how incredible she is at her job. And that brought back memories. Not only his brother, but all the couriers, Harry believed, were dismissing Meghan just as they had shunned Diana. I just wish that they would all learn from the past, he said. Harry and Meghan were convinced, Omid Scobie reported, that they had propelled the monarchy to new heights around the world. Indeed, many women hailed Meghan as a symbol of modern womanhood, or, as some said, the poster girl of aspiration. Utterly self-assured, she presented herself as a model of the new era. The problem was that Brand Markle was unacceptable to the palace. As Scobie reported, the couriers would rein them in because they feared that Meghan might be bigger than Diana. Who said this? Omid Scobie, the mouthpiece of Harry and Meghan. Okay. Soon after their return, Harry asked the Queen's permission to leave Nottingham Cottage and establish their own lives beyond Buckingham Palace's control. To accommodate her grandson, the Queen agreed that the couple should be allocated the Frogmore cottages on the Windsor estate. Although it was hard to believe that Meghan wanted to live 25 miles from London and under the Heathrow flight path, builders were contracted to rapidly convert the 5 dilapidated units into a luxury 5-bedroom home. But the line was drawn. Harry's request for his own office or court to build the Sussex brand of philanthropy and humanitarianism, separate from Buckingham Palace's, but financed by the Queen and the taxpayers, was rejected. Yeah, think. And he was probably so hurt. Like the two of them, you could hear them talking to each other. They convinced each other that this was a great idea and everybody was going to go for it. We're going to do what we want. We're going to do whatever charity we want. We're going to have our own schedule, our own staff, be completely separate from the palace, but keep our titles and all the money. Great plan. On the Queen's orders, he was told he would be allocated a small office inside Buckingham Palace and under the Queen's supervision. While William had his own organization, Harry was sidelined. The decision was supported by Charles. Helping the second-born, as previous spares, including Princess Margaret and Prince Andrew had discovered, was beyond the palace's skills. Harry interpreted the palace's decision to deny Meghan her independence as a blow to his own demand for freedom. Always on the edge, Harry's simmering anger was reignited. Human nature dictated that the cracks in Kensington Palace could not be concealed. The brothers' arguments, the memorandum about Meghan's alleged bullying, Kate and Meghan's mutual dislike, and the niggling suspicion that Meghan was planning to return to Los Angeles prompted committed royalists to whisper secrets to their friends. The Iron Curtain, imposed by uncompromising non-disclosure contracts on couriers, was breached on the 10th of November. The first media report revealed the sudden departure of Melissa from the Sussex's staff. Her surname, to Beattie, was still unknown. It was reported, the Daily Mail's Richard Eden, a real shock for someone involved in the wedding preparations. 1 week later, the Mirror added that Meghan had reduced Melissa to tears. Meghan asked the palace spokesman to deny these allegations. On the same day, the Sun's Dan Wooten reported Tiaragate, describing the temper tantrums. Palace insiders mentioned that there was a very heated exchange that had prompted the Queen to speak to Harry. She said, Meghan cannot have whatever she wants. She gets what tiara she's given by me. The Queen also questioned why Meghan needed a veil for the wedding, given that it was to be her second marriage. More importantly, the Sun reported that Kate clashed with Meghan over her rude treatment of the staff. That's unacceptable, Kate had told Meghan. An insider said, Meghan is used to working in a Hollywood environment. However, there's a different level of respect in the royal household, and Kate has always been very careful about how she has acted around the staff. Kensington Palace refused to comment to the Sun. The third revelation was reported by royal correspondent Robert Jobson. At the height of Tiaragate, he wrote, Harry was petulant and ill-tempered with palace staff, and even downright rude, and had shouted, What Meghan wants, Meghan gets. The Queen, Jobson wrote, asked to see Harry privately and put him firmly in his place. Go, Queenie! Jobson blamed Meghan's original choice of the Vladimir tiara with emeralds or pearls and pendant emeralds and smuggled out of Russia after the revolution and then sold to Queen Mary. The tiara's provenance, he suggested, made its public display sensitive. It's just no respect for the past or history or where things come from. She said, it's sparkly and pretty. I want it. The earrings, the tiara, there's a pattern here. However, that detail was undetermined by photographs of the Queen wearing the same tiara at a Windsor Castle banquet in 2014. Clearly, there had been an argument, but the reason remained ambiguous. Well, I mean, it is a little bit different. She wore it to what? She went to at a bake. She wore it to dinner. She wore it to dinner one day. Meghan wants to wear it for her wedding. I think there's a difference. My opinion. Harry and Meghan were incensed by the wave of media allegations. Reports of their high staff turnover, they complained, were unfair. Although Samantha Cohen had just disclosed that she too was planning to leave. Leaks about Meghan's 5 a.m. emails convinced them that her staff were disloyal. Everything she requested was referred to Buckingham Palace, filtered and invariably altered. She complained, denied control over her own life. Harry was sympathetic. Yes, he was. The media vultures, he believed, were to blame for everything. He and Meghan were innocent, and the media, they were lying. Worse, Knopf was failing to turn negative headlines into positive ones. The newspaper headline, Duchess Difficult, opened the floodgates. Duchess Difficult. Love it. In the Daily Telegraph, Camilla Tomini reported that Kate had burst into tears during the pre-wedding argument with Meghan about the bridesmaids' clothes, about wearing tights, and about the length of Charlotte's hem. In The Sun, Dan Wooten described Kate's anger about Meghan's treatment of her staff and the breakdown of Harry and William's relationship. William, the newspaper accurately reported, had, in the months before the wedding, advised Harry to consider his relationship with Meghan carefully. In addition, he was unhappy about the Sussexes' refusal to go to Balmoral with the Cambridges. To balance the anti-Sussexes reports, the Sun's columnist, Lorraine Kelly, hit back, praising Meghan. Cut her some slack. Meghan has done incredibly well to tiptoe through the minefield of royal protocol. She's a fantastic addition to the royal family. Approachable, sweet, and with a genuine desire to make a real difference. Right. Meghan would call the critical media reports the beginning of real character assassination. Listen, they can't write about things you didn't do. Well, they can, but eventually, nobody wants to. I mean, what's the worst thing they said about Kate? She's weighty Katie. Well, she was. She waited like 9 years to get that ring on her hand, right? So, ooh, I mean, all right. Meghan, she's just feeding them all kinds of stuff. They're running with it. Not her fault. All right. She was particularly upset that Knopf refused to set the record straight by promoting her point of view to disparage Kate. I think that's where everything changed, Meghan later said. She would give Omid Scobie an email that recorded she urgently requested an official denial of the offensive report that the Times, in the Times, that she had made Kate cry. Meghan's request, Scobie wrote, was ignored. I mean, she thinks anytime anybody writes anything negative about her, there has to be a retraction. She just can't handle it. She is so thin-skinned. Contrary to Meghan's orders, the palace insisted that Harry and William were close. As evidence that the Sussexes and Cambridges had not had a falling out, an official briefed that the two families would spend Christmas together at Sandringham. It's a hard word to say. Meghan hit back. In November of 2018, she told Knopf that the palace's communications staff and that her friends were cooperating with Omid Scobie to write a book setting out Harry's and her lives and problems. Wait, let me read that again. I think that was a long sentence, and I think I put the pauses in the wrong spot. Meghan hit back. In November 2018, she told Knopf and the palace's communications staff that her friends were cooperating with Omid Scobie to write a book setting out Harry's and her lives and problems. Oof. The background to that decision would challenge Harry's and Meghan's veracity. During the summer of 2018, Kensington Palace had been approached to help Scobie and Carolyn Durand write a book called Finding Freedom. Their book, the authors promised, would be wholly favorable to the Sussexes. Knopf knew that Meghan would be interested. My view is that this is a very good idea, Knopf texted Meghan. Knopf's opinion suited Meghan's agenda. She wanted the book to focus on the sacrifices that she made when she became a duchess. While supportive, Knopf advised against asking or authorizing Meghan's friends to cooperate with the authors. There was a risk, warned Knopf, that the author's opinion about the Sussexes might change. Meghan disagreed. She knows best. Meghan disagreed. Scobie, she sensed, could be turned into a loyalist. I feel he needs to be back-briefed ASAP, she replied about Scobie. On the 12th of November, Meghan discussed the book again with Knopf. She wanted to read Omid's outline. She was also worried about Doria's concern about what Meghan called these egregious paps. Her mother felt unsafe. Unaware of the book project, Prince Charles remained troubled by the upsurge of media reports about the strife within the palace. To ensure his smooth succession to the throne, he wanted nothing to undermine the image of the House of Windsor as peaceful and unified. We're getting near the end. Last 2 pages, people. He understood the repeated criticism that Diana had suffered by being ignored. Mhm. Diana was ignored? Oh, I guess like her wanting certain things she didn't get, I guess. I don't know. Now he was anxious that Meghan's unhappiness risked similar accusations. Just as he was seeking to boost the monarchy's prestige, he feared a monumental argument involving the Sussexes. However, Prince Charles's own past behavior undermined his plans. His admission of adultery to Jonathan Dimbley during a TV interview in 1994 had damaged Charles. Rehabilitation had taken years and was still not complete. In recent media interviews, he had enthused about Harry's energy, mentioned his pride escorting Meghan down the aisle, and vowed to stop campaigning about his passionate causes. Quote, "I wasn't meddling. I always thought I was motivating," he said. "I won't meddle when I'm king." To help her son, the Queen's toast to 300 guests at his 70th birthday dinner included praise for his wife. "Most of all," said his mother, "sustained by his wife Camilla, he is his own man, passionate and creative." Sorry, Marie, for my terrible British accent. The Queen had moved a long distance since her son's wedding reception in 2005. After Charles's unglamorous ceremony at the Windsor Register's office, which she did not attend, the Queen had been reluctant to join the party in the castle. She was glued to the television in a side room watching the Grand National Horse Race. That's funny. "Sorry, I can't make your wedding, son. There's a horse race. On TV. On the telly." Okay. Eventually, she emerged to make a short speech referring to Charles in the winner's enclosure. After pausing briefly for photographs, she had left the party quickly. Over the following decade, opinion polls were harsh about Camilla's status. On Diana's anniversaries, Camilla's approval ratings sank and Charles's followed. Now, in the inevitably brief time available, Charles was determined not only to bury the past, but build bridges with his eldest son. William's support was necessary, he believed, for Camilla to be crowned queen. Securing his sympathy went in parallel with the effort to craft William and Kate's image as a hardworking family embracing Britain's best values. With some persuasion, William and Kate agreed to move back to London from Norfolk and undertake more royal duties. Yet Harry was going in the opposite direction. Getting the two brothers to smile together for Charles's 70th birthday family photograph had not been easy for Kate. Thankfully, William agreed that Camilla could be included in the photograph alongside his children. The happy portrait could not deceive the public. The dam had been broken. Publicity about the rift between the Sussexes and Cambridges, combined with Thomas Markle's denunciation of his daughter, had destroyed the blissful images recorded on Meghan's wedding day only 6 months earlier. Ah, goodness. Whew. Next week's chapter starts with suicide. Bum, bum, bum. Or accusations of, claiming, thoughts of, is what I believe we're going to read. We'll probably read 2 chapters actually next time because there is no other chapter as long as that. It's a long one. All right, people. Well, that was good. More dirt. These two. I am really curious to see what's going to happen now, because now that they're here, now that things are falling apart, now that nobody likes them, now that their podcast got canceled, the television show got canceled, her jelly jam spread is no longer really selling. It may never have. It's sold out, but who knows? Maybe there were 100 to begin with. Whatever it is, she upped and ramped up the production, and now, nobody's buying it. Nothing is going their way. And Harry by himself is going back, doing trips in London to meet with Daddy and beg for reconciliation, which means mo money, Papa. And I think Harry misses it, quite frankly. He's not an American. He's used to the pomp, the circumstance, the life, his friends, the familiarity of even the streets. Well, not really, because he didn't know where his friends was on that drunken night, knocking on doors. Hey, are you my friend? Anyway, when sober, familiarity of the streets and the places in London. LA is not his home. It's her home, but she has no friends, really. So it's not going well. And I think he wants a foot back in. I heard rumor, I don't know if it's true. I heard a rumor that he was trying to talk to his dad about letting him be half in, half out, which the Queen adamantly said, no, half in, half out. You're either in or you're out. And then they chose out. Now he wants half in, half out without her. I don't know if it's true. I heard it online that was part of the conversation. I think, one, it's partly for the money, because he has come back and asked Daddy for money a few times. But I also think he just kind of misses it, because he was praised and lauded and worshipped. And, he was the good-looking one. He was the young one. He was the fun one. The spare was great. Like, Harry was everything. And when he traveled to the Commonwealth, people loved him. Now he, I don't know, babysits. I don't know. He might be more in touch with his kids than Meghan is. I'm going to say, I always hated that. I never believed that there was such a thing as babysitting your own children. But if you don't know them that well, maybe. But maybe he knows them really well, because what else does he do? Nothing. He's sitting around while she's trying to create a brand and is failing miserably at it. So, all right. Well, anyway, that's my opinion. I might be missing the mark on all of this, but that's how it looks right now, the outside looking in. All right. Yeah, I never thought of him as a cute one either. I thought William was good looking since he was like a teenager. I'm like, oh, the girls are going to be after this one. Like, I always thought that he's the one that had the look. So I never understood the Harry thing. And it has nothing to do with the red curly hair. I dated 3 redheads in my life. So I'm not against redheads at all. But he, I just don't think his face is good looking, personally. Everyone likes different things. I think William is very good looking. Anyway, in my opinion. But everyone told him he was the good looking one, right? Yeah. Okay. Another stupid idea. Okay. No, I didn't see. Have you seen the photo of him she put up for his 41st birthday this week? I didn't. It's laughable. I'll go look. Harry's always been the rebel. Yeah. His face looks like the backside of her bed. Yeah. I not my cup of tea. Don't think he looks that great. Mike the Sycophant. I just added bee and sycophant, plus you added his beekeeper backstory. about 20 years old. Oh, I take no responsibility. Just kidding. All right. Yeah, William has been better looking and smarter. Harry was the fun, goofy one. Yeah. And now he is no longer the fun, goofy one. He's a spoiled brat that's annoying, like a gnat. All right. My microphone looks like a Mystery Science Theater character. Yeah. I have to put it in weird spots so that I can have a book too, but I still want to, I want, because it's directional, I have to make sure that my voice is going towards it. It's not all the way around. I have to get to the front. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. And we will be back next Wednesday. I got the thumbnails all set for next week. So we're good to go. All next week's thumbnails should be done, so you can take a look at them. In the event something comes up while I'm down in Tennessee, I'll just remove the thumbnail. So if all of a sudden you see it and then it disappears, it's because something came up and I wasn't able to do that stream. But other than that, and other than something unexpected coming up, everything is set to go. And my daughter and her husband are both working next week too. So I can't imagine that like we're going anywhere or doing anything. And on the weekend, I think I'm coming back. I don't even know. It's such a blur and so much is happening so fast that I'm just kind of treading water, going with it. Oh gosh. All right. I love you all. Mwah. I screenshot the chat. Good night. All right. Y'all. You just crack me up. I love you. All right. See you next week. Bye, everybody. Oops. Got to get rid of this. There we go.